Hello and welcome to another video for Double Rail. In this video we're going to show you some older locomotives that might be suitable for younger kids for Christmas. Obviously it's always nice to get a good train set for Christmas, and since this is December and running up into Christmas here, I thought it would be nice to do a couple of videos on things for parents that might be at least somewhat kid proof, especially for younger kids. So while you can get train sets pretty cheaply, if you're on a limited budget or you're a young kid and you're using your Christmas money to pick up some locomotives, if you want to try to pick up as many locomotives as you can for as little as possible money, or you want some locomotives that are less likely to be destroyed by little kids, I want to go and give you a couple of recommendations. I know none of these locomotives, at least most of them, you can't get new, but you can get them on eBay pretty cheaply. So if you do get a nice new train set for Christmas for your kid, if you want to let them, maybe mess around with something that's a little less expensive for them to destroy, then here are a couple of good options. So this first option here is a Lima shunter. It's in a kind of a quasi BR blue, and it's got a running number of D2785. Now these particular models are pretty much indestructible. This is actually one that I had as a kid. So this is about 31 years old. I had it since I was about 4. And as you can see there, it runs just fine, and I definitely manhandled it quite a few times. These you can pick up on eBay pretty cheaply, usually in the under $20 range. So if you're looking for this particular model, just do a search for Lima shunter or Lima shunter with D2785. I don't actually know the part number for this particular model, but it is a great runner, and any kind of dirt at all that's on the track, as you can see there from the little blue sparks that come off the rails, it's going to go in and wipe that out for you. And the kids like to see the blue sparks as well running along the bottom of the track. So this is the first one I'd recommend, and it's not exactly the most detailed model, but it wouldn't look out of place either on a more grown-up adult kind of layout as well. So it's definitely one to take a look at. So next one on the list here is your standard Genty. It's a Hornby or 052. Now these have been on the market for decades. This one's one of the newer ones. It's one of the last few that were made in the UK, and its running number is 47556, and it's in pretty good shape, and these are pretty cheap to find on eBay as well. You should be able to pick one of these up for under about 30 pounds. You should also be able to find these in most small railway shops. So if they don't have the railroad version for the newer one, they should most definitely have these secondhand. So they're pretty easy to pick up, and they're a very good locomotive, not just for kids to mess around with. There's not too much detail that they can break. It's not quite as indestructible as the Lima shunter, but it does have a good bit of potential there for letting kids mess with it and so on. Plus it's pretty cheap, so if an accident happens, you should be able to pick up a body shell for one of these pretty easily. So I'm going to let this run back and forth up the layout a little bit. One other thing that this particular model is pretty nice about is you can also use it for smaller layouts. So if you've got like an apartment or a flat and you don't have much space, you can put together a nice 6 foot or 8 foot shelf layout about the same width as what I have here in this section of the layout. And this particular model will work very well shunting back and forth some grandpa's wagons or some wagons like that. So it's a pretty nice little model. So I'll show it going back and forth, and maybe I'll show you some options as well in terms of wagons. We have the Genty with a Krampus wagon here. This Krampus wagon is a Daypole one, and I think I got off e-Hattons for about £6 or £7. So these are pretty cheap, and they work really well on a short layout. So you know, if you're looking to build something cheap, the Genty Krampus wagon, and you know, 6 foot so of plywood and maybe a couple of rails and some points. So you know, you're looking at maybe £100 or so tops. And you can make a nice little layout for your kids or for yourself, and something that will just, you know, fit on the wall in the living room or a spare room or bedroom or something like that. So even if you don't have the space, it's still possible to enjoy mall railways. So I'm going to show you the newer version of this, which is the Chinese version, and it's a little bit different, but it's also available pretty cheap on eBay as well from secondhand vendors like Rails of Sheffield or trainsandrailways.co.uk. So here you can see we have the DCC version actually of this railway version of the Genty. Again, I think it is an R5 or R052. The running number here is 47646. I'll put the actual mall version number on the bottom of the screen if it differs from that. But again, you could easily have 2 of these and a DCC controller, and you know, easily do some nice shunting or something like that. So the Gentys are a good option for kids or for a small mall railway. Okay, so here we have a Hornby Class 08 diesel shunter in BR green. Again, this is something I picked up off of eBay. It was pretty cheap. It's under $30, and these things are a dime a dozen on eBay, on ebay.co.uk, as well as secondhand sites and various, you know, mall railway shops that have you know, any kind of secondhand stock. They should have some of these on hand, and these are a pretty decent model to pick up. As you can see there, it runs really smoothly. Again, it's not a whole lot of detail on it, and the body shells are easy to find if the kids do break it. So this is another very good option, and then later on, if the kids want to use it for a more adult or a more advanced layout, even though it's kind of lacking in detail in some places, you can very easily you know, weather it to make it, you know, hide up some of those flaws and blemishes. If you do like the Class 08, currently I think on e-Hattons, Bachmann have a very nice version of it. It's about £60 or £70. However, that might be a little bit too expensive to hand over to a kind of over-eager 3 or 4 year old kid, or even an older 5 or 6 year old kid. So it really depends on your kid, but this is another option in terms of a locomotive that could be used either on a short mile railway if you're short of space, or for the kids to play on the layout. So if you do pick up a good train set, this might be a good second or third locomotive to add, just to let the kids play with something on the layout without having to break the more expensive train that came with the train set. Another good option to extend your train set is the Mallard and Sir Nigel Greasley and some of these other A4 Pacifics. The Mallard in particular comes with a number of railroad ranges, train sets and so on, so they're very easy to find on eBay. This one actually came from a train set from a few years ago. I think it came with 2 coaches as well. But as you can see there, it's a really smooth runner. It doesn't have a lot of detail on it, but has enough detail to make it run around the layout pretty nicely, even for a more experienced modeler. Again, this probably isn't the best option for a short layout, but if you did buy a track or an oval, or you have a larger layout, this is a good second locomotive to pick up. Again, you should be able to pick up these on eBay pretty cheaply. A lot of secondhand model shops will carry these as well, so it's a very nice looking model and one that will run really well on the layout. So this is another good recommendation to extend your train set. So this is an old Triang Hornby Railways Class 25. As you can see there, it's got the lighted head code. This is running number D7596. I'll put the model catalog number at the bottom of the screen later. This is another really cheap model you can pick up on eBay. It doesn't have a lot of detail, so there's not a whole lot that can break off. You can see there it is missing the tension lock hook part of the coupling, and that's pretty standard for these type of models when kids play with them and so on. We can see here this model survived some kids playing with it, and it still runs pretty good today. Bit of good weathering, and it'll look pretty decent on the layout as well. So it's definitely something that can give someone a lifetime of enjoyment. So if you're looking for something on a budget, something to extend the train set that the kids can mess with and you're not worried about, this Hornby Railways or Triang Hornby Class 25 is another good option. So here's another good option. This is the Class 35. There's a ton of these on eBay. You can usually pick these up for under £20. They're in various different states of condition and so on, but they're very easy to maintain. They're very easy to put together, and like I said, with like the previous models, there's not a lot of little parts to break off, and the body shells are easy to find on eBay. So it's another good model for kids to mess with. You can let them play on the layout and not worry about them breaking a more expensive model. Okay, so this is the terrible St. Paddy Class 55 Hornby Deltic. It's not really to scale, mainly because it was actually converted from the Lima version, which was a hybrid HO 00 scale model. So this isn't a very popular model with collectors. or with more serious railway enthusiasts. If you're like me and want to stick something in the background that'll kind of fit in, this model's pretty good. If you want something that your kids can mess with and you're not going to be too worried about it, but you want to buy something new rather than secondhand, then this is probably the locomotive you want to pick up. It's dirt cheap. I don't think E-Hines can even give them away. Last time I saw it, I think the price was under £30. So it's definitely worth a look. And like I said, it's a new model. It's in the Hornby Railway range, and you can just give it to your kid and not worry about them breaking it or messing it up. And it, like I said, it's made of pretty heavy plastic, and it's a pretty heavy model, so it's going to be pretty difficult to mess it up. Okay, so here we have a Class 37. This is an old Triang Hornby Class 37. It's been repainted by somebody and redetailed. It's in pretty good shape. It's been well maintained, and this actually belongs to my 6-year-old son. So he's had this for about a year, and as you can see, it's still survived. It's still in pretty good condition, and he's pretty rough with stuff. So. You can see it's a good choice. Obviously he has newer models as well, but this one, he likes to run the layout. He can crank it up as high as he wants, he can crank it as low as he wants. If it falls off the track or something like that because he's going too fast around curves, it doesn't really matter. So he's quite happy with it. It's a easy enough model to pick up on eBay as well, and with a little bit of maintenance and a little care, these things are pretty indestructible. So obviously you probably wouldn't survive a massive drop on the floor, but as long as you're somewhat careful with it, or you have the layout on the floor, it should be pretty good. So that's going to conclude the first set of recommendations we have for secondhand and cheap models. We'll do a few more in an upcoming video as we run up to Christmas, and maybe a few after Christmas for folks who are looking to spend some of their Christmas money on some expanding their fleet. So hopefully you found this video useful, and until next time.